Hello stars, this is Gwendolyn. Thanks for visiting my channel. Welcome back if you've already subscribed. This is going to be kind of a little bit of a different video. This video is going to be about reverse cards. I often get a lot of questions about reverse cards, and I read reverse cards in kind of a special way. So I wanted to just take a few moments and talk about reverse cards and how I read them and different ways of reading them. So I'm going to go straight into that. So there are a number of different ways of reading reverse cards, and one of the tarot is such a complex, rich, deep collection of archetypes and information that I feel like reverse cards need to be addressed with the same level of inquiry and interpretation as cards in their upright positions. And there are some people who read tarot in a way where the upright position is the meaning of the card and the reverse position is its opposite. And that's a totally valid way of reading the cards. But however, I see reverse cards as something, I see in some ways that way of reading things as a little simplistic. And to me, it's just scratching the surface of what the tarot has to offer and the information that it can provide. So to me, that is like just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what can be communicated, or the information meaning that can be brought from the cards. So for example, I'll just use Fool and Ace of Swords, and I'm going to look for the Wheel as another good example of cards that could be read in reverse. I'll give some examples here. So for some people, for example, they'll take this card, Wheel of Fortune, which has a meaning of the changing of time. Things that are above will be going down, things that are below will be going up. It's the cycle of time, and it's the cycle of evolution, of the seasons changing, all of that kind of stuff. So some people read this card in the upright position as good luck and in the reverse position as bad luck. That's a perfectly valid way of reading the tarot, but I personally consider it a rather simplistic one. So I do see this as when it comes in the upright position, as the luck is changing, the tides are turning, the tables are turning. You know, if you've been having good luck, it may go bad. If you've been having bad luck, it may go good. Things are changing. And so I really read this card as a card of change and a card of chance and time and all of that imagery as well. And then when I read this in the reverse position, if this were to show up, I wouldn't necessarily just call it bad luck. I would say that this, usually in the reverse position, I will read it as something that there is resistance to, or there's doubt or fear. I usually read reverse cards as the energy of the card being present, but that it's being dampened by something, that it's having a hard time coming to the surface, that it's like looking through a window that's blurry or covered in dirt, or that it's being held underwater in shadow somehow, that it's like you're trying to see through the windshield, but you can't really see it clearly. This energy is trying to arrive, but it hasn't arrived yet. So sometimes I'll read reverse cards as the energy of the card but in delay, or sometimes fear or doubt or resistance can block the energy of the card. So what I would usually read this card in reverse to mean is that things are changing, but that you're resisting that change, or there's some doubt or fear regarding change, or that there is some sort of way that the change is not happening fast enough for you, or that whatever, instead of the natural evolution of the hand of time changing things as it will and as it does, in the reverse position it's either like, okay, speed it up, or don't let it come. It's resistance against that natural energy of the card. So the energy of the card is there, but it's being blocked, hindered, resisted, doubted, feared, whatever it is that's causing the shadow. Same thing with this. So another example. This is Ace of Swords, which in the upright position, I love this card. It's the truth. It's victory. It's success. Ace of Swords. Swords represents mentality. It represents air signs. It represents the mental element. So truth, thoughts, ideas, knowledge, experience, and the one sword. So it's like the one unified truth. And that's why it's got this crown, this victory of laurels. Represents truth, cutting clear to the matter, a new idea, because it's ace. Ace energy is new energy. Swords represent idea, thought, experience, knowledge, the mental realm. So new idea, new thought, new knowledge, revelation, truth, all of that is Ace of Swords. In the reverse position, I don't call it a lie. Some people might. It's okay. I don't mean to really laugh, but I guess it just seems rather simplistic to me. What I will say is that sometimes in this position, you're having a hard time seeing the truth, or that the truth is there. You might be resisting the truth. You might, it reminds me of that saying, like, I'm trying not to hear that. It might be that there's resistance, fear, doubt, something that's not allowing this energy to come through. So it's still there. It doesn't mean, for me, that there's a falsehood. It means non-access to the truth. Now, that may be a subtle difference for some people. But again, I'm just trying to explain my approach to reverse cards and how I see that the richness of the original meaning is retained even in the reverse position. It's just that it is having trouble coming to the surface, having trouble being seen, having trouble being revealed in its full meaning. There's resistance, doubt, fear, shadow, something going on for that card to not be 100% itself. So I use the Fool as another example. The Fool is a card of openness. It's 0. It means potential energy. It's beginner's mind. It means having trust and faith in the universe. It's a sort of innocence. It's freshness. It's newness. It's things before they're formed. And it's also that openness and carefreeness of like confronting the world exactly as it is, and having trust and faith in the world, and going forth into adventures with innocence, naivete, but an open heart. In the reverse position, some people might say it's the opposite, like having experience, or being the opposite of a beginner, being the person at the end, finishing your journey. I accept that as a interpretation, of course, and anyone who wants to read the tarot in any way that they want to can. But I see this as be careful. When I see this card in the reverse position, I say it as what is blocking your faith? What is blocking your openness, your carefreeness? Are you experiencing cynicism or mistrust, or what are the natural elements of Fool that might be being held in resistance, held underwater? There's actually there's a great image for this that I believe it's Abraham Hicks uses, where there's a cork floating on the water. That's the natural expression of a cork on water. Its natural state. So when a card is in the upright position, I consider it its natural state. When you hold a cork down underwater with resistance, with something that's pushing it, something that's holding it under, it's keeping it out of its natural state. That's kind of how I see reverse cards. They're being held under somehow. Resistance, fear, doubt, shadow, unawareness, whatever it is. And that's what's like holding the cork under the water. So when you let go, when you free up whatever resistance is there, the card, like the cork, goes back to its natural state. It's uninhibited, obscured state. So when this card comes up in reverse, I say, is there a way that your innocence is being challenged? Is there a way that your heart is not open? If it's carefree in the upright position, is there a way that doubt or fear is causing you to not be carefree, to have anxiety, to have worries? That's the opposite of Fool energy. So it's not exactly opposite, but it's basically like saying this wants to be there. It is there. It's just having a hard time getting through. There's some sort of block, resistance, shadow, fear, doubt, something that is causing it to be out of its natural state. So I just wanted to give those as examples of how I might read some cards in reverse. There's actually another great one, Three of Swords. Might be another good example. I'm going to try to find that one really quickly here, because in the upright position, Three of Swords means sadness, disappointment, heartbreak, betrayal. It's basically an image of a heart being pierced by three swords, and there's a rain cloud above it. So that's Three of Swords energy, heartbreak, betrayal, third wheel energy, sadness, disappointment. It's really clear in the imagery of the card. Sometimes when people see this in the reverse position, they say, "Oh, it's like reuniting," or it's the opposite. It's happiness, it's joy, it's love even. And I don't dismiss that as an interpretation, but to me it's a little bit more rich, a little bit more subtle, a little bit more complex than that. To me, I see Three of Swords in the reverse position as resistance to the heartbreak, resistance to the disappointment. Like if you're grieving over something, letting the tears flow, that's different from saying, oh, either it didn't happen or it's changing, I'm hopeful that it's going to change. To me, it's that there's resistance, fear, doubt. It can kind of actually amplify this card with resistance because it prolongs it. Some people say that in the upright position it's more heartbreak, in the reverse position it's less of a heartbreak. It's something that's minor. That's a totally valid interpretation as well. But I see it as, in the upright position, it's coming full force through. It's coming through uninhibited. In the reverse position, there's something that's blocking it. Either it is hidden betrayal, hidden disappointment, something that you're resisting that disappointment, resisting the betrayal, not wanting to believe it. There's like an extra layer of shadow on top of it, of resistance, doubt, fear. So some people see it as turning around. Perhaps, I'm just trying to address the differences in how I read cards. I don't just read them as good luck, bad luck, openness, being closed, novice, expert. To me, that is, or truth, lie. Like, I don't, to me, it's a little too much like just looking at the tip, even though those are parts of it. To me, it's like looking too much at the tip of the iceberg and just missing the whole mountain of information and complexity and subtlety that also accompanies the meanings of the cards. So I just wanted to give that video and do a little explanation. So as always, I just want to thank everyone for watching. Yours on the stars.